Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. It's one of the Asian words. The church seems to have a lot of words that end in A-T-I-O-N, propitiation, expiation, and so forth. But three Asian words might help us understand the Trinity in a small way. We often think of God the Father as the one who did creation. With Jesus, we think of justification. The work of the Holy Spirit is centered around sanctification. This week we're exploring the mystery of the Holy Spirit using the Apostles' Creed as our guide, and one of the phrases under the article about the Holy Spirit is the phrase, the forgiveness of sins. That might seem to be an odd place to find that, because most of us think of forgiveness as something done and given by Jesus on the cross. Nevertheless, the Holy Spirit has an active role here too, making God's forgiveness known and experienced in our lives, and a role with sanctification. Let's talk about sanctification. The way we often think about sanctification is that as each day goes by, as our faith grows stronger day by day, we become more holy and pure for God. We become more faithful and closer to God. And while that's a wonderful thought, that image of us glowing with purity, that's really not what happens. Perhaps you know from your own experience that you might lack a little purity in your life, in your daily life every now and then. Rather, Luther describes sanctification as not that we get better and better, but instead that sin daily dies out in us more and more. So while we aren't doing anything to cause our salvation, the Holy Spirit is at work causing the sin in us to die out more and more. So as the sin dies out, we do become more and more pure for God. This is the work of the Holy Spirit. Luther indicates that forgiveness is granted to us through the sacraments, but also through the comforting words of the whole gospel message. In fact, Luther says we are so full of sin that we need to receive the whole forgiveness of God each day. So the Holy Spirit brings us daily to experience the love and grace and forgiveness of God and to know it real in our lives. This is being made holy. This is being declared one of God's saints. Imagine St. Gary, St. Kevin, St. Shannon, St. Jim. None of us has earned the title, but through the work of the Holy Spirit bringing us closer to God, it is the title I have and we all have. There's one more thing. To be holy is to be set apart. And if the Holy Spirit makes us holy, we have to ask the question, holy for what? We are set apart to praise and worship God and to respond to God's grace through living out grace for others. We are to live in love and mercy and compassion and care for each other and for all. Our worship isn't something for us to do just with our lips. We are called to do it with our lives. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.